Go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 35 of ATL Sports HQ Live. I'm ATL Phil.
I'm Bowling Bob.
That's
I'm
Derek
Bret,
and
Mr. A27.
Those two clowns don't know who they are.
But make sure you guys head to ATLSportsHQ.com for the latest in Atlanta sports coverage. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe on iTunes, give us 5-star ratings, tell your friends and your family, and just tell everybody about us. And if you want to join the site, give us a shout on Twitter, and we can get you hooked in. So let's get right into it. The Atlanta Falcons won again, a rousing victory on the road, 29-3 up in Charlotte at the Carolina Panthers. Just absolutely dominated the game on both sides of the field. So, what has changed since the bye week to lead to two huge Falcon victories? I'll start you, Bob.
Man, to me, it's been Raheem Morris bringing an intensity to that defense. I know that technically he's in charge of the secondary only, but it's awfully funny that we've seen that much change in a matter of a bye week and then 2 weeks after, to where they look like the most dominating defensive line in the league. I mean, I don't know what he has said to Vic Beasley, but Beasley all of a sudden looks like he knows how to play again. Tack has been unreal. And then, you take Adrian Claiborne, who had a fantastic game today. And, it just seems like it's a completely different squad. You would think that they brought in all new guys for this. And it's amazing that a coaching change like that makes all the difference. But what does that say about Dan Quinn, though, that, he gave up the reins of the thing that he was going to take control of, and now they look as good as they do? I mean, I thought, hey, great deal with New Orleans. I really wanted to see it again because I don't think Carolina's as good as their record is. And I honestly thought they were better today than they were against New Orleans. So that was the improvement I wanted to see. But yeah, man, fantastic defense and just overall intensity in the last 2 weeks for sure.
Yeah, I think the last 2 weeks are pretty damning for Dan Quinn. He took over this defense, and it was obviously absolutely horrible for the first half of the season, and then he relinquishes some of the rights, and all of a sudden they're winning. So he's gone. I don't care if they win the next 6 games, go 9-7, and make the playoffs. He still needs to be gone. Unfortunately, if they do keep this up, he's probably saved himself. But I think that would be a terrible decision. How are you feeling, Derek?
I mean, like y'all both said, I mean, these past 2 weeks, especially today, I mean, all three phases of game, even special teams. I don't remember the last time seen a Falcons punt returner return into for a touchdown. So it's just crazy because it looks like a totally different team. I mean, we look like the worst team in the league about 4 weeks ago, and now we look like a team that should be contending to make the playoffs. But I actually think it's unfortunately kind of, but this is saving Dan Quinn's job right now. And I mean, especially if they continue to win, and I mean, the players seem like they want to continue to play for him, and that's what Blank is going to see. And I mean, he obviously trusts in Dan Quinn because he gave him that freedom to take the reins of the defense under him. I'm glad he gave that up, and he better never call another defensive play ever for the Falcons again.
How you feeling, Brett?
I mean, it feels pretty good to actually watch a good football team on at least Sundays for me, because it ain't been going to on Saturdays for me. But Dan Quinn still has a hand in defense. I think he's already still calling up the blitz packagers or whatever, the defensive line and all that kind of stuff. But plus that defensive line is just, I don't know what's gotten into them, but Vic Beasley's getting sacks. He's not getting almost sacks. He's finally getting some real sacks this time. And Trufont's catching the football, and was a joy to watch. But I know Kyle Allen was pretty off today, but kind of played a factor into it. But still, I mean, you're going to be off when you finally got two guys, even three guys running straight to your face about every play, and it's just a joy to watch. And offensively, it's offense has been about the same old same. We're seeing more consistency, I guess, moving the ball down the field. But they've always put up points, but there's not wait until they're down by 20 to put up points this time. So, but of course, the defense has played a huge part in that too, and the good field position and stuff like that. So, but I'm kind of with Derek that these last two games sort of saved Dan Quinn's job in a way, unless he goes back to the old crap we saw for the first 8 games. So we'll see. But I mean, this team definitely never gave up on Dan Quinn. He's definitely still got the locker room, as you can tell. So we'll see. We'll see how the last few games go.
There's little things too involved here. Two little things that we really haven't talked about. Things like all the defensive line playing with their hands up. So even if they aren't getting the sacks, they're tipping passes, which lead to interceptions. I think there was 2 that were tip passes today, which is a big difference. I mean, playing more observant to the ball, true fun, especially the last 2 weeks, isn't getting blown down the line anymore. It was something like that. Almost makes you wonder if it was a health issue with him that maybe we weren't aware of, because he's not getting beat. But even Isaiah Oliver, has looked, like a completely different, cornerback. So mad shout out to Raheem Morris. I don't know what it is that he's spoken to them for the last 2 weeks, but again, it looks like a totally different remade unit.
Yeah. Now with these two wins in a row, some people are speaking on that P word, playoffs. Now the Falcons are 3-7. I don't see it, but there are people laying out scenarios. Is there any way that any of you three think the Falcons do the unthinkable from 1-7 to playoffs? Anybody think there's a shot in hell?
No.
But it would be funny. It would be the best thing ever if the Saints lose to us. If we went out and beat them again and they lose 4 more games and we win the division, that would probably be one of the best things, just to knock the Saints out of the playoffs just because you won a division. But that's not happening. So
I'll tell you what the exact odds are here. They have to win out 9-7. The Vikings have to lose 5 of their last 6. The Rams have to lose 4 of their last 7. Eagles lose 3 of their last 7. Cardinals lose 1 of their last 6. Panthers lose 2 of their last 6. And the Bears lose 3 of their last 7. So that's your odds right there. Not happening. Again, you put yourself into too far of a hole. The NFC isn't as weak as it usually is, other than the NFC South. So yeah, the chances are slim.
Yeah, it's not happening. Sorry, guys. I don't know why it's even a thought today with that many things that would have to go right. Let's take this one step at a time. You're not going to win. You even if you play like you have the last 2 weeks, you're not going to do that 8 straight times. You're going to have a bad day. You're going to trip up at least once or twice, if not more. So I still think, at the end of the day, really it'd be better if they were losing some of these, but it is what it is.
At 8, the thing, the most Falcon thing ever is going to be they're going to go 8-8, and then they're going to get a mid-round draft pick that Dimitroff will bungle, because he'll still be here, because our Arthur Blank doesn't fire nobody. So Dimitroff will still be here. They'll bungle about the 12th pick in the draft, and then we'll just go through these same motions again next year. Just being an average team and struggling, and but yeah, that's how I feel it going. I'm to where I wish they would lose out, get a really, really good pick, and then draft defensive line early with a top 5, top 6, top 5 or top 6 pick. So I mean, but again, it's fun to see. I mean, it's been much better than watching what I saw the first 8 weeks of the season. That's for sure.
So in today's win, Matt Ryan moved to 10th all time on the NFL passing list. But for some reason, there's some idiots on the Twitterverse. I mean, we could just end that sentence right there. But there's some idiots on the Twitterverse that think Matt Ryan is not a Hall of Fame quarterback. What would you say to someone who says that, Derek?
I mean, they obviously don't watch and don't know the history of the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame is basically based off of mostly stats, and so winning a ring has nothing to do with that. And it's funny that Falcons fans hold winning a ring so highly because not a single quarterback has ever won a ring in Atlanta. So I don't know why that is the solidifying fact to make you a good quarterback, because I see a lot of people
You
say
say Dan Marino's not a Hall of Fame quarterback?
that.
I mean, exactly. A ring isn't, to me that doesn't mean nothing. So.
Exactly, it doesn't not, and it's just stats. Like the stats are going to overpower anything after that. But it's just funny to see Falcons fans in general, like they say, "Oh, but he hasn't won a ring." Well, nobody for Atlanta has won a ring, so you're gonna have to find another argument, buddy.
And then how many ever have won a ring? How many quarterbacks have won a ring? About 40. Tom Brady has 6 of them, so that's already like 20% of all the rings.
Well, there's just a lot. There's just a lot of good names. I mean, look at Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly's another one. Lost 4 Super Bowls. Would you say he's not a Hall of Famer? He's absolutely a Hall of Famer. So, yeah, I don't buy that argument. I don't buy that argument in the NBA. You look at guys like Barkley, never won one. Would you say he's not a Hall of Famer? Come on, man.
Right. Dominique Wilkins, never out the second round.
Yeah, exactly. So, Bret, what do you think, man?
I mean, it's crazy to think that people don't think he's. I mean, every time you ask why he's not a Hall of Famer, a lot of people hate Matt Ryan. They always go back to I think it's crazy to say he's the one that blew the Super Bowl. They always say Matt Ryan's the one why the Falcons won the Super Bowl. It's all I hear from people I know. But still, he's going to go down as one of the arguably a top 10, top 15 quarterback ever, probably, if he keeps this rate going for about another 5, 6, 7 years. But I mean, he's the. I mean, even people are going to play when they call him the best quarterback in Falcons history, because they're going to find some way to go about it. People really don't. There's that group that just doesn't like Matt Ryan because he's kind of just boring to watch because he's not your prototypical get out of pocket type quarterback. Although last week against the Saints, he kind of showed out the 17 miles per hour bootleg he had. But still, I mean, he's going to get. He's going to put. Without Matt Ryan, this team is. I don't know where, because they were in that draft. They were between him and some offensive lineman, I think. And they would have taken an offensive lineman. There is no telling where this franchise is at. It's not as good as where we're at today. There would have been no Super Bowl appearance or 2 NFC Championship game appearances or 3, whatever it is. It wouldn't have happened. So he's easily a Hall of Fame quarterback in my book when his career is going to come said and done.
If there was ever like a minute argument, a lot of people that disagree with that say that he's had a lot of offensive weapons around him as far as receivers, tight ends. He'll end up having a Hall of Famer in Julio, a Hall of Fame. He had a Hall of Famer in Tony G. He had a great receiver in Roddy for all those years. I don't know if Roddy will end up being a Hall of Famer down the line. So he's had quite a bit of offensive weapons, but I mean, I don't even think it's an argument. I mean, he's played as a Hall of Fame thing. He's had a lot of numbers that late in games and stuff, which is what a lot of people also say bad about him, is that the padded stats argument. So, but I mean, like as someone that's not a fan per se of the Falcons, I mean, I think it would be a travesty if he doesn't make it the Hall of Fame.
But he also got to look at, since 2008, he's got the most or second most game-winning drive or something like that. I think he's tied with Russell Wilson and Drew Brees, and Matt Stafford took the lead a couple weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, Again, the pass stat thing is true. We've seen that this year where he's gotten late in games and has passed stats, but again, he's got that clutch factor. That even though remember that one game against the Panthers, like in 2012, whatever, 2013, at the 1 yard line, he threw like a 50-yard bomb to I think it was Roddy White or something like that, and we're just right down the field in 54 seconds to win a game.
Yeah, to me, he's one of the best 2-minute drill quarterbacks I've ever seen in the league. When you hurry up with him, he's as good as Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson is the best 2-minute quarterback in the league, but he is right up there, right behind Russell Wilson to me. There's no one. But my only thing with him is sometimes he'll get down there and he'll throw an interception, but so does Russell Wilson. We saw that last week against San Fran. He was running the 2-minute, got down there, threw the interception as well. So it happens. But the other thing that a lot of people fail to talk about, Matt Ryan has that MVP. Russell Wilson don't have an MVP. Matt Ryan has an MVP on his belt, which was in one of the greatest offensive quarterback seasons ever. We're not talking about, he just happened to have a good year. This was one of the best quarterback years of all time.
Yeah. So we'll see what the next few weeks of Falcons football brings us. Spirits are definitely a lot higher around Atlanta than they were just a few weeks ago. But moving on.
Phil, hold on. Before we move on here real quick, you're out when we decided we wanted to talk about this. I really quick. I want your guys' thoughts on this whole fight Monday Night Football, or Thursday Night Football. I'm sorry, with Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Ended up with Myles Garrett being suspended indefinitely. What are your thoughts on it, Derek? Did Mason Rudolph get off kind of easy on this one?
He definitely did, and if you haven't seen what OJ put out, he was pretty much like reporting on the situation. And
who knew OJ was the voice of reason? Huh?
Exactly, because he literally said exactly my thoughts on the situation. They both was in the wrong, and both of them should be penalized. Obviously, Garrett should be penalized more than anyone else, but they both was in the wrong. And if you haven't seen that, you definitely need to watch his little thread on the situation. It was pretty funny, but enjoyable at the same time.
Yeah, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but you can't start something run and then play victim and not expect anything to happen. I think NFL.
Bret, what'd you think?
He did get off a little bit easy, and it's easy. I agree with Derek. They're both in the wrong, but Rudolph, he should have been suspended. Probably. I don't know. I'm not going to say like three games, more than that, but 3 games, so 1 to 3 games somewhere in there. But then I just didn't like how he's saying that he's never going to back down from anything, but he was only running out Myles Garrett because he had 2 offensive linemen right in front of him, in between him and Garrett. So, I don't get it. I don't get his reasoning. I've truly lost a lot of respect for Rudolph after all that garbage, and I'm not saying that losing for anybody else in that whole situation, but Myles Garrett definitely was in the wrong. But I just didn't like how Rudolph he's playing off. I just don't like that at all. It just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, my thoughts on that is just like Mason Rudolph definitely should have got suspended. I like 2 to 3 games. But I'll tell you what, as a lineman, man, I would have. There's one thing you don't touch, and that's my quarterback. So no matter how you look at it, that's assault with a deadly weapon. If you've ever held one of those helmets, those things hurt, man. They hurt. It hurts to get one of those ripped off your face. Nonetheless, get smacked, and he hit him flush on the side of the face. So he's lucky he didn't get any criminal charges brought against him. I don't like the indefinite suspension. I thought that he should have been suspended the rest of the year for sure. But the fact that he's never been that we know has ever been on that report for dirty play or anything like that kind of leads me to believe they should have given him a number, and I think that's why he's going to appeal it, is because he's appealing it based off of the fact that they should have given him an actual number. So, But man, it was crazy to watch them, especially if you stayed up because it was like the last 6 seconds of the game where it was like melee city. But I'd have been whooping him. I mean, I don't care. That's what I said. You don't, as an offensive lineman, you don't touch my quarterback.
Yeah, and just don't write a check you can't cash. Don't talk loud. Don't start something if you're not prepared for what's coming. Not excusing
Miles,
helmet at
you say that, Phil. But Miles Garrett's a big boy. You don't have to take a helmet and smack him in the side of the head. You use your fist like a big boy.
Definitely shouldn't do that. But both parties are wrong.
No one deserves to get smacked with a helmet, man. They're not. I'm telling you. That's why he's suspended the rest of the year, and the other guys aren't. So again, he's a big boy. Use your fist, knock him out.
Could you imagine if he actually got hurt?
I'm surprised he didn't play that card.
What if he? Yeah, but that's the thing. What if it did hurt him? What if it hits him in the side of the head and kills him? Then what? What we're talking murder here. We're not sitting on the show talking about he got what he deserved. We're talking about murder. I mean, so again, the suspension was warranted, but I just think Mason Rudolph should have got that suspension as well. So at least 3 games.
Let's talk about our Atlanta Hawks. Did anybody stay up and watch every second of that game last night?
I watched about 2 minutes of the first quarter, and then I woke
up and I said, "Man, am I glad I didn't watch that last night." So
the Hawks lost 150 to 101 last night to the Los Angeles Clippers without Patrick Beverley and without Kawhi Leonard. Paul George had 37 points in 20 minutes. Just an absolute, just annihilation, demolishing teardown of the Hawks. Now, this was a 10-point game with about 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. I believe it was like 61 to 70 or 60 to 72, something around there. And then LA went on like an 80 to finish the game like 80 to 40 in the next 20 minutes. Just absolute, just beat down. Real interested to see how the Hawks come out tonight. They're in LA still versus the Lakers. Obviously another great team. Where was the fight last night? Now I got to give them a little bit of credit. They got down 20 to 3. They got down 17 multiple times in the first half, but were able to make it interesting. I think the closest they got was 4, but like we've seen, they get it close, and then it's like back-to-back threes for the other team, and then back-to-back turnovers for us. It goes from 4 to 12 in an instant. And the Hawks really have to, besides getting somebody who can do something besides Trae Young and Ari, they've got to cut down on the silly turnovers and switching momentum so fast. It has to end. But Bret, you watched the whole game. What did you see?
I saw. I saw. Definitely, you could tell a team with some definite growing pains. Like I said, they were resilient when they fought back, and then they just kept chipping away. Kept Clippers are going to run, and then the Hawks would fight right back, cut to 8 or 9, then go back up to 17. But again, I saw just some silly stuff, just absolutely dumb shots. It seemed like, and then it seemed like in the second half, like you said, that 7-minute part in the third quarter, from there on out, the Clippers, I felt they missed like maybe 1 to 3 for the rest of the game. What it seemed like to me, and they weren't just like contested threes; these were just wide open threes. And I don't know what was going on with the defense, but it wasn't that great. And I mean, you think about it, what were we, like a block? I remember who was it? Someone was driving. We're down by like 4, and they got a great block by somebody, but couldn't lead the 2 from behind, and that
It was Trey.
forward. Was it? I can't remember.
He was driving. He was driving to get us within 2. Got blocked. They go to the other and hit a 3. We come back down, get a turnover. They come back down, get another 3.
Yep, that was a turning point in the game right there for the most part, and I mean that's. Hawks weren't the same after that, obviously, and the Clippers, I felt like they missed 1 3 after that entire sequence right there. So it wasn't fun to watch, but it was joy to not joy. It was at least a positive takeaway from it. Cam Reddish seemed to finally get some kind of a groove going late in the fourth quarter. I mean, even though it was against the bench for the Clippers, but still, it was nice to see him knock down a couple shots and get to the rim a little bit. It was nice to see.
I'm guessing Coach Pierce wishes he would have saved that rant from the other night for when he was ranting about the defense and the lackluster play for this one when you give up 150. But wasn't it? How many did they run up against us last year during that Sacramento Kings game we went to? It was close to 150, wasn't it? I think it was like 140. 145 or something, was it, Phil?
I know, and last year I think there was one where we gave up one. No, the Orlando game, we gave the highest last year was 149. 150 was a new high water mark for the Hawks.
I know that game we went to against Sacramento was like a 140-point game too. But it's gonna happen. I mean, again, you don't have John Collins, and so people don't realize it. It's still, you're still looking for those guys to step up. Not only was people are so worried about the offensive output of John Collins, but he was really, starting to come in his own a little bit defensively too. And you can see that we're just missing him defensively. And then, watching a lot of the, recap of the game. Again, you're starting to see how important John Collins is to the Hawks, being that he is Trey, that Trey's duo, the guy that Trey became so comfortable with last year. And so, you are going to see a little bit of hurt. So, but Dougie just said exactly what I want to say. He said if we didn't have a depth problem, he would send Reddish to the G League to help his game. But yeah, there is no depth, and so that's what Bret put it really good. Where this is what you want to see in the fourth quarter, even though he's playing against the subs and stuff like that. It still gives him a chance to work his game and not have to worry about the pressure of it being a 1 or 2 point game.
Yeah, definitely. Once Kevin Huerter is back, I definitely think we should send him down a few games. We did it with Torian. We've done it before. It's not a Schmidt. It is what it is. It'll be okay. So speaking of Cam Reddish, he really has struggled, especially from the field. Numbers are not pretty, but let's not get carried away. There's someone who missed the whole summer, missed the whole missed training camp, not training camp, preseason. Before preseason, missed with trying to get back from that surgery. He's just, he has to find his way. He's making okay plays. He's playing good defense. He's getting okay shots. He needs to get better shots, but it's not like he's out there just completely lost. Some people are already labeling him a bust. Obviously, they do that with one game, but it's just, people need to relax. People just really need to relax on him and let him find his way.
I agree with that. I mean, he's really kind of. I have been giving him a hard time too, obviously on Twitter and all that. But I will say we were kind of all spoiled with Trae Young last year. How he quickly just after the month of November, he just quickly turned into a fast rising star, and Cam was given this label of course I know, at least I kind of believed it too, that he was going to be the best player one of the best players from this draft. We saw those videos pre-draft of Anthony Edwards saying he was a toughest player he had to guard and all that type of stuff. So I mean, Again, I feel like he is trying to rush. He's gotten better. He's rushed even. He was flying. He was trying to force everything at the start, but now he's definitely settled down a little bit. The shots just aren't falling. He's getting good looks. They just aren't falling. He's just in one of those shooter funks, but he'll be fine. He'll work through it. And even if it does take time to go to the G League, but again, I'm impatient because like I said, Trae Young did spoil me last year of all that stuff he did. So I mean, it's also harder to gauge because I'm not comparing Trae Young and Cam Reddish anyway, but I'm just saying Trae Young, at least he got the electric passing skills and ball handle stuff like that. Still get you fired up, even though he was missing his shots to begin with. With Reddish, you just kind of see all these. People really don't get excited about defense nowadays. He's playing good defense, but again, everybody's kind of more harsh on him because they're just seeing how much he's struggling on offense, and you can't see how impact he's making defensively right now.
But you took the words right out of my mouth. The fans were pretty much spoiled, and Kevin Herter, spoiled by John Collins the year before. I warned people of this before the season, all summer long. Let these guys grow. Stop putting premature expectations on them. It's not going to be that easy. We're not going to get this lucky 3 years in a row. I'm sure he's going to be a fine player, but give it time. Everybody was pretty much crowning him king before he even stepped out onto the court, before he even had a practice. That's your people, Bret. I mean,
my people. Oh yeah.
I mean, you pretty much both said it. I mean, he didn't do anything. He couldn't really do anything at an NBA level over the offseason after we drafted him. And I mean, if you people thought of these high expectations because of, like I said, we were spoiled by Trae Young, and they forget what a rookie actually looks like. I mean, you see some of these all-time great players that had terrible rookie seasons. I mean, Kobe's one of them. Who else? Tracy McGrady had a bad rookie year. I mean, you just see these guys, but Cam Reddish has always been a prospect guy. He's for someone that actually watched him and then just seen his game, seen him in high school and then at the college level, you could just tell it's going to take some time. But when he finds his role and gets comfortable, he's going to be very good because he has all the skill sets. It's just learning how to put it all together and do it effectively and efficiently. I mean,
but you say we're spoiled. We're spoiled by Trae. How bad was Trae the first month of the year last year? He wasn't that good. I mean, he was better than Cam is, but he wasn't the Trae that we know now.
But
give the guy some time. I mean, I've never met a fan base or a city fan base of any sport that panics on somebody and throws them off the ledge as quick as Atlanta sports fans do. It's just unbelievable. I mean, you put it good where he didn't get to play much in the summer league preseason, and so this is essentially his preseason, his summer league still. Man, it drives me insane. I'm telling you, if I was in that chat, I'd be kicked out.
And he doesn't he still doesn't have a solidified role in the offense right now. I mean, there's really no plays run from him, and I mean, has he deserved him recently? No, because he hasn't been shooting the ball very well. But I think it's just expectations were put on this team, and I mean, granted, we had injuries and Herter, and then freak thing happening with Collins getting suspended, so we would probably look way better. But I mean, Hunter and Reddish are looking to be key scorers right now, and that's something they're not ready for. I mean, the rookies, 10 games in.
Cam, this is really the first time where he's been, I mean, other than when, Zion's injury in college, when he blew the shoe out, where he's had to really step into a leader role, other than just a complimentary player role that he was at Duke. And really, even then, he was, he played the third role. RJ Barrett was, the guy that really had to step up in the leadership role. So this is kind of a new thing for him. But he's essentially moved into what John Collins' role was last year, where Collins really, they really didn't have a set kind of, plays for him. And so John Collins created a lot of opportunities for himself, where Cam doesn't have that shot right now, the ability to create those plays for himself. He's just trying a little bit too hard. But yeah, just give the guy a chance, man. What's that?
Got that double spin move.
Yeah, the double spin move.
And that's just trying to do too much. I mean, he was forcing to get a bucket. I mean, and that's what was the result of that. I mean, which, oh well, I guess if it gets people talking, I mean, I'll take the attention, whatever.
Let's throw it back to Thursday night. Just a wild game in Phoenix. The Hawks were whistled for 10 offensive fouls and 2 offensive flagrant fouls, both on Cam, which resulted in his ejection. Now, I've been watching the NBA closely for 15 years. I can't recall seeing an offensive flagrant foul unless it's like in a fight, let alone twice in one game, result in a suspension. I don't like to put things on the refs or make excuses saying it was the refs, but the refs legit changed that game. It was awful. It had the attention of everybody. I'm surprised there were no fines for what Trae Young and Lloyd Pierce said after the game. It was just a terribly officiated game. And we're talking about the NBA, the greatest league in the world. I just think, of course, it's a hard job for the refs. I just think you can't have a game officiated that badly. There has to be some kind of accountability. What do y'all think?
It was terrible. It was one of the worst officiated games I can recall, and I'm that person that thinks all refs suck for the most part in all sports. I'm one of those guys. They sucked on Thursday. They were they were bad, and it was. I didn't watch most of that game, but the parts I did watch, even I saw the first camera flagrant foul. And I saw. It was ridiculous. 10 offensive fouls in total. You're telling me every single one of those 10 offensive fouls actually were a real foul or something like that. It was bad. It was poorly officiated. I don't know what was going on, but if I was Lloyd Pierce, I would have done everything in my power to just. I would have empty out the wallet and pay every fine it took. Just trash the refs. They were terrible.
Yeah, that was just a flat out frustrating game to watch, just all around. From the fouls, and then at one point it just felt like the Suns weren't missing a single 3-point shot, and it looked like a Coach Bud defensive effort from guarding the 3-point line. So it was just a frustrating game to watch.
Yeah, I'm looking at the offensive fouls, just based off this year, that the numbers in the NBA seem to be way up there. But the Hawks in the last 3 games have 26.3, which makes them the third most offensive fouls called against them in the league in their last 3 games alone. They're the average. I think they're at 23 for the season, so average wise. But yeah, I was just curious, because it seems to me, watching the games this year on NBA TV, that it seems like there's a lot of offensive fouls being called this year. So are we turning into the NFL where you just can't even can't have any contact whatsoever this year without being a foul? No playground rules allowed this year in the NBA. So. But yeah, that was a poor officiating game. And what's worse is, Bembry getting ejected, because we really can't afford to be losing anybody, to an ejection, especially Bembry.
And speaking of, so Bembry and Cam were ejected from that game, and for some reason it still wasn't enough to get Chandler Parsons in the game. He was available Thursday and Saturday, hasn't played yet. Obviously, if he's available, he's good to go. So we'll see tonight I'd like to see what he has. Last year, if we're being
Can he
honest,
be any worse? Come on now. I mean, can he be any worse than what we have?
Right now, the surrounding cast of Trae Young, none of them are hitting their threes. As great as Jabari Parker has been playing, his 3-point percentage is still not where you'd like to be. So it just has to be better. In order for us to win at any sort of level, our 3-point shooting has to be better, because that's such a big part of Trae Young's game, is finding open shooters. They got to be able to knock them down. We're getting good looks. They got to knock them down.
And the worst part is now that Jabari has become our number 2 option, every game that he plays good is not good for the Hawks, because he has a player option for next year that, built in. And so it's making him look like he's having a comeback season. And so he's clearly going to opt out of what is not a good deal for him. And so he's going to essentially double his value with a player option.
It's going to be more than double. If he stays on this pace, he's getting $20 million this summer. Well, at least we're one of the few teams that would be able to pay it. There's, I think, only 6 teams with a considerable amount of cap space this coming summer. So, through 12 games, the Hawks are 4-8. I'll be honest, this is about where I expected us to be with this schedule. Then you throw in the injuries and John Collins and the Vince Carter disappearance. 4-8. I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with how some of the losses have been, but at first glance, 4-8. I'm okay with that. How about y'all?
Yeah, I mean, it was expected. I mean, a tough road stretch, especially with the injuries and then Collins, of course. But I mean, you have a tough road stretch in the West. So higher stakes and teams that you aren't really used to playing against, like that. But and then we had to lean on these young guys. And I mean, yes, you already said it. I mean, we just can't hit shots, and that's what winning basketball is pretty much surrounded by in the NBA. Is you have to make 3-point shots, and we're like one of the worst teams in the league at that. So I mean, I was really surprised we were able to pull off the win against Denver a couple of days ago and sit at 4 wins right now. So that was a real good win. I was hoping we could pull the one away in overtime against the Blazers. That would have been a big win. But I mean, they've battled and they played well, and hopefully we can look better in LA today than we did yesterday, and maybe sneak one past the Lakers.
Yeah, that game is getting ready to tip off here just in a few minutes.
I mean, 4-8 is not too bad. I mean, considering again that we're, you have the early West Coast trip, and a tough 20 games, stretch to even top it off. I mean, whether you lost by 49 or not to the Clippers, I mean, I know I had that as an L. Looking through the schedule to begin with. So whether you lost by 49 or not, the injuries hurt us. Maybe we could be a little bit better if we had, John Collins, and some of the guys back and healthy. But yeah, I mean, to me, this is expected. I mean, again, I think there was some unreal expectations put on these guys just based upon this draft. But there aren't many teams where you bring a guy in, a guy or one or two in as rookies that I think, wow, that's just going to be game-changing type players. So, again, I preach patience. Be patient. If 2 or 3 years down the line this isn't working, then it's time to start questioning, Travis Schlenk, and what he's doing here. But be patient. It's still a rebuild, no matter how you look at it.
For there to be people questioning Travis Schlenk and Lloyd Pierce right now it absolutely baffles me, because it is happening. Hopefully it's not happening out in public in the timeline, but I can tell you in chats it's happening, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous and idiotic. I hope they're watching too.
Well, just quit with the we need this person in trade. We need this person in trade. We don't. We're not to the point where we need anybody in a trade yet. We need to build up what we have to find the pieces that we need to trade for. Why would you trade for an elite center on a team that's not going to win 30 to 35 games?
Here's the good one. There's people calling for us to sign Jamal Crawford or J.R. Smith or Joe Johnson. Why? Why would we do that? Like, there's people who literally argued with me because I said that's stupid.
Yeah, I love Jamal Crawford just like you guys love Joe Johnson, and I would never want him near the Atlanta Hawks.
I do hope they get signed, but not in Atlanta. Keep them away from us.
And why would they want to come here? What incentive would they have to come?
Honestly, one thing we need Vince Carter back. I don't know what's going on with his situation or anything. It's been really kept quiet, but that's a roster spot we're losing. That's a roster spot we're losing. I speculated earlier on this week that maybe he's questioning coming back for the 20th season because I honestly think that in his mind he thought he was going to play a ton of minutes, and it's just not that role for him anymore. It isn't, he might be in the same boat as a Joe Johnson, a Jamal Crawford. That it just this isn't the right fit for him. So I hope that's not the case, but it's maybe looking like that.
Yeah, I won't judge on that situation because I have no idea. No one has any clue of what's actually going on with him. So
pure speculation.
Yeah. So it could be something way worse and with his family or anything. But I mean, I do hope to get him back soon. And it's not even about having him on the court. I mean, he's just you just see the energy that he brings on the bench and stuff.
He's essentially an assistant coach as well, too. So
and I hope he goes into that role when he after the season. But it's going to be hard for him to turn down that big money that TV companies are going to throw at him for a broadcasting position.
Hey, maybe they just didn't want him to have to fly across the country 4 times in a week. So maybe they just said, hey, get you a little rest. We'll play it off as personal issues so we don't have to deal with the load management crap.
Yeah, and the thing, usually when there's radio silence, it's a lot of times it is a medical issue and stuff because they're not allowed to talk about anything because of those HIPAA laws. You're not allowed to talk about medical issues or anything like that. So, but like again, we don't know. We're not him. It's just I'm like Derek. I hope he comes back and whatever it is not anything that makes him not want to play, or if he doesn't want to play, then he'll still come back and help coach.
Right. And just another little sidebar announcement. Media members are not fans. Let's get that straight too. So stop expecting all these media members to act like fans and being upset when they're critical of your favorite player. Sorry, it is what it is.
That's not.
And also,
that's not how the media works unless you're running a fan blog. But the thing is,
exactly.
we run a fan site here, and we're still objective to, we still got to be objective to who we're covering. It can't be all roses. I mean, it's just like with the Falcons. We'd love to sit here every week and talk about the weeks like this one and last one. But when you're 2-7, that's and 3-7. This is, you got to be honest. And the same with the Hawks. We wish the Hawks were started off 10-0 or whatever. But the reality is they aren't. So we've got to talk about what the good and the bad is.
Right, and also when we were writing stuff about the Hawks and Falcons and everything every day, people weren't really noticing it. So don't complain about the media when you're not supporting the fan-run media either. So, get your panties out a bunch, guys. My goodness. But so the Atlanta Hawks, it doesn't get much easier soon. Tonight, of course, we're in LA. That'll be tipping off in the next 1 or 2 minutes. Then we come home. We have to face Milwaukee and Coach Bud. That usually has not gone well. Then we have to go to Detroit. They'll be looking for some revenge. The defending world champs come soon. We haven't had luck with Toronto lately either, even without Kawhi in some of the games last year. Then Minnesota comes. Then we got to go to Milwaukee. We got to go to Indiana. They haven't really got it going yet, but they're a pretty good team. Then we got to go face the 40-point-per-game scorer, James Harden. And then it gets a little bit easier. We got the Warriors coming. We got Brooklyn coming. Then we go to Charlotte. Then we got to go to Miami. Then we need to go get a little bit of revenge in Chicago. So that's the next month or so of Hawks games. Finally, the schedule will break a little bit, but in the next few games, it's still tough sledding. So it's going to get a little worse before it gets better. And quickly checking on our friends down there in College Park, our brand new College Park Skyhawks. They got their first, but that's been sandwiched by a couple of blowout losses. So make sure you support our second team down there in College Park. Let's move on to the college football scene. Big win for UGA, holding on by the thread of their teeth, 24-17 after they had led that game. What was it, 21-0? Going into the fourth quarter, something like that.
Yeah.
It looked for a minute they were going to let it go. What happened there in the fourth quarter, Derek?
The defense finally broke, and I mean, it didn't really. It seemed like they were in a soft zone, and they
were in a soft zone.
They were still sending blitz packages and stuff, and we just couldn't get pressure in him. And in the middle, we had a lot of busted coverages. I realized that after I watched the fourth quarter over again after the game. But and then he just started to find people open in the middle and stuff, which they were kind of killing us on slant routes like the whole game. And then this time they were just doing more deeper routes. But I mean, we really couldn't score offensively pretty much the entire game, besides when we had a few big plays. So I mean, that came back to hurt us because we really should have been up more than 21-0 if we took advantage of the opportunities that they gave us. I mean, we had terrific field position, especially in the first half. The defense was amazing, but they still need to continue to get better because, I mean, you see a slight drop off in the fourth quarter. They come up big on the last possession, getting that stop, getting that sack on Bo Nix. And Bo Nix actually did save us because I think it was the possession before that they didn't convert on fourth down because he missed an easy screen route that would have, if not a touchdown, they would have gotten to at least in between about 10-yard line in Georgia territory. So good thing Bo Nix isn't ready yet, and he's young, and he made a lot of mistakes last night.
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, Derek put it pretty good. Bo Nix, I thought, struggled really, really bad the first three quarters. Georgia's defense was swarming all over him, forcing him into a lot of mistakes. He underthrew a lot of passes. But I thought Jake Fromm, he had one really good pass, but he struggled quite a bit too, especially in the red zone. A win's a win. I mean, they got lucky that Auburn guy, touched the ball first on the onside kick, because you could start to see the tide turn. And Derek and I, we never lost faith, though. I mean, forget what we said in the Twitter chat. We never lost faith. So, it was a great defensive game. No matter what the score is, I thought, because you're asking for that to happen when you go into a soft zone. I mean, Derek said that I
don't understand why teams do it.
I disagree. I hate the soft zone. Soft zone is what almost killed the Seahawks against the Falcons. I mean, it allows you to make quick passes, not eat time off the clock, and because you can get down there really, really quick just throwing them passes. And I'm such a fan of, blowouts and stuff like that. I'd rather you win 50-0 than, try to prevent someone from scoring. But to me, I always consider that to be garbage time. And as soon as Georgia's defense, let up in the fourth quarter, but they were as good as advertised the first three.
And I mean, the offense obviously wasn't up to par as they should be at an elite level, being a top 4 team in the country. But you have to give credit to Auburn's defense. I mean, their run stop game is really good, and their corners and secondary has been good throughout the season. They played a dominant LSU team close, sort of. And I mean, they were able to try to kind of contain and play them well, matching up. So I mean, the Auburn defense is really good, but that's not an excuse. And if Georgia wants to be one of the final teams, they're definitely going to have to pick it up on offense. You can't rely on the defense because I mean sometimes they're going to break. And I mean, after you see the different coverages and you find some of their weakness throughout the game, that's what happens in the fourth quarter. They start to expose it even more.
Missed red zone opportunities will have you losing to LSU by 20 or more in the SEC championship.
Yeah, they're gonna have to play better against LSU. But
what
happened?
They better.
Georgia Tech, Bret.
Oh man,
You asked about Georgia Tech. That was. I had the pleasure of watching that or attending that game instead of watching the Georgia Auburn game, and it was awful. I mean, the stadium was where I was at was full of Virginia Tech fans, and I hate every single one of them, but I just don't like their fan base. So it was bad. It was awful. But I don't know what happened. I mean, I guess you can kind of see you will definitely see the inexperience and just the lack of playing time from everybody and playing walk-ons on both sides of the ball. I mean, it's going to catch up to you at some point. Virginia Tech was clicking on all cylinders. They should have beat Notre Dame a couple weeks ago and drilled Wake Forest last week. So, but it was bad. Our freshman quarterback, he looked bad. Our defense has been our main only strength this year. It seemed like it looked awful. I'm not sure what happened here. It was bad. I hate losing to them. I mean, but since we can't beat Georgia, they're that one rival that we can. What Georgia does to us, we do to Virginia Tech, and it was bad to see us lose Virginia Tech that bad, especially at home. And Coach Collins, he knows he got his hands full. But at least the recruits are seeing past it. I mean, I see tweets after the game saying, "Keep trusting Coach Collins" and stuff like that. So at least the recruits are seeing the future. I mean, but there's nothing. You just gotta forget that game. Luckily, quick turnaround Thursday. Starters should be well rested because they didn't show up on Saturday, so they should be well rested for Thursday. So we'll see what happens. So national televised game. We'll see Thursday night. I mean, I don't know who was. I don't know how packed the stadium's going to be. So we'll see. We'll hopefully turn the page a little bit and forget that's the game ever happened.
Yeah. Elsewhere in the top area of college football, LSU took care of business. Alabama also took care of business, but suffered a huge loss to I don't want to demolish his last name. Bob, you're good with last names. Why don't you give his last name a shot?
Tagliavua is what I would go with. So the Hawaiian names are tough, buddy. I mean, but I mean, very, very rare that we can sit here and talk about a mistake that Nick Saban made. Nick Saban letting Tua talk him into going back in on that was as bad a decision as I've ever seen Nick Saban make since he's been at Alabama, and it cost him. I mean, it wasn't the leg, obviously, but I mean, it ended up being worse. He should have never been out there. Up 28 going into halftime, no business for him to be on the field whatsoever. You had the backup already warming up to go in on that drive, but like I said, Tua talked him into it, and now you possibly, you've lost him for the year, but now you may affect his NFL future. In my guess is that he might want to consider coming back next year if he can come back at all. That is a devastating injury, not just the not just the hip fracture, but when you have the hip wall is what has a break in it too, and that's what is the real more damaging thing, because you just don't know what the long term could end up being a hip replacement for him, just like Bo Jackson. And now a lot of people speculated that it was the same injury as Bo Jackson. It wasn't. Bo Jackson's injury, for those that don't know, his thing is he didn't get it addressed quick enough, and so the blood was sitting in that wall when it broke, and it caused the degeneration of the bone. And so that, and him not noticing that, is what caused that to happen. So, but man, just an unfortunate injury for him. And I hope that he's able to make it back, because I mean, he's got a future in him. I mean, he reminds me so much of Russell Wilson. So, and a little bit of Michael Vick, being that left-handed quarterback. So, yeah, I hope he comes back, but that's a tough one to come back from as an NFL player. But that's one thing about it, though. That's the risk in mobile quarterbacks. You risk having that happen, coming out of the pocket like that. It's an unfortunate thing. Again, that you look at Robert Griffin. It's the same type of thing. You run the risk of a freak injury like that when you're constantly on the go.
Yeah. Get well soon. Also, Clemson took care. They had no problem getting by Wake Forest. Y'all see any changes to the top four Tuesday?
No, it should stay exactly the same. No one should move up or down.
Baylor checked their opportunity. Baylor had the biggest opportunity for a move up, and they 28-3'd it. So
hey.
And then Minnesota lost after their big jump up.
Minnesota did too.
Minnesota, though, would have never made it through the rest of their schedule. No. Baylor beats Oklahoma, and they've got a shot of getting in. I mean, that would have been a big win for them. They would have most likely played Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship. And, that was a devastating loss for Baylor.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's no change whatsoever. That's going to stay the same.
Locally, KSU and Southern took care of business. Georgia State did not take care of business against Appalachian State, but major shout out to quarterback Dan Ellington. He's playing on a torn ACL. So
what a baller.
Sounds very painful and not something I would do in college, but for someone who obviously, coming out the Sun Belt doesn't have an NFL future, might as well lay it out there, because technically, is he a senior? I can't remember.
He's a senior.
As a senior, he's probably never playing competitive football again. Honestly, he doesn't have to get surgery. If you don't need to recover within 8-12 months, then you don't have to get surgery. You can live with a torn ACL.
Yeah, that to me is just unbelievable. And again, we're talking about mobile quarterback. He is also a rushing quarterback, and so he played really, really well the first half, having to be, to stand still in the pocket because he can't run out. And, I thought he did a really good job. The fact that they were up against a really, really good Appalachian State team up until the, end of the second quarter, they just got worked in the second half. So, yeah, that to me, that's ballsy. I can't imagine playing on a torn ACL as a quarterback.
Yeah, not at all.
Well, the Hawks are down 19-4 as of now. So.
You said they're down 19-4?
Yeah, they're down 19-4 already.
Woo!
Oh, man, that's good. On to college basketball. College basketball has started, believe it or not. Major takeaway so far is the Wiseman ineligibility. Expected to go number one. NCAA roaring their head again. And also Kentucky, number one at home, lost to Evansville, unranked. It's unbelievable. Did you guys catch any of that game?
I would put that as the biggest college upset since Appalachian State beat Michigan in college football. But really, they must be a good team because they were only 23-point underdogs. I've seen bigger bigger underdogs in the
Well,
NCAA tournament won 16. So
the crazy thing about that, I mean, they don't mean anything, but they literally about a week before this game, they only beat my school, Ball State, which is not good at all, by 4 points. So if that tells you anything,
well,
How would they know
imagine
one?
huh?
Oh, you mean Evansville beat?
Evansville beat them
Oh,
by just 4 points.
you got to imagine though what that does for Evansville recruiting now. You can tell a recruit that, hey, we went up to Kentucky and stomped them, So that's all those are always good for recruiting, especially your JUCO guys that aren't getting into, the big schools like that. So shout out, that's a big win.
that's big. But who's the favorite this year? Obviously, Kentucky needs to come down a little bit.
Favorite?
Who's
There's no dominant favorite, I don't think, right now.
And the deepest team, I mean, they're full of experience. What are you saying?
It doesn't feel like they have those huge polarizing figures like last year in like Zion and Duke. I haven't heard of anybody like that.
For me this year, I really like Michigan State. I don't care about their regular season record because they're a whole different team when it comes into the NCAA tournament. They just step it up a different notch. They did get upset the other day, but I really like them. Obviously, I really like Gonzaga. Gonzaga has been dominant to start off this year. I think they're 7-0, 6-0, 7-0, but they've been really, really dominant. Yeah, it's my early prediction is Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State's led by a very good veteran point guard. So I think if you want to call a favorite, I bet they would be one of them. But there's really no dominant favorite that is going to be a popular pick as of now. That could change later on.
The off season is here for MLS. Seattle took care of Toronto. I did not watch a second of this, and I'm a huge soccer fan, but I was still a little hurt. But the offseason is in full swing for Atlanta United, who have traded Darlington Nagbe and a surprise to nobody to Columbus for over $1 million in allocation money. That money will probably come in handy because we do have a few signings we need to make. Mikey Ambrose also posted on his social media that he will not be back. Julian Gressel, we hope that we're able to work out a deal with him, but there's been no news there. We have a pair of expansion teams coming in next season, so we run the risk of losing some of our players. Some of the main ones that we did not protect were Justin Miram and Brandon Vasquez. It's rumored that Miami is really interested in Brandon Vasquez. Losing Miram would hurt, but we're Atlanta United. We'll be okay. We will find somebody to replace him. But there's also rumors of potentially moving on from one of our DPs. Obviously not Joseph, unless somebody comes and says, we'll give you, $30 million. That's not going to happen. But one of either Pity or Barco, more likely Pity, may be sold somewhere. Probably, if it's paid, probably back to South America. But we could, we're linked to several top European players and also another top South American player. I think Pity can still thrive here. Obviously, there's a rift between him and Frank de Boer, but I think he can still find his footing.
His style doesn't fit. I never thought that his style fit with Frank de Boer. You mentioned that there's a lot of European talent that we're looking at. That's the defensive type style of game that Frank de Boer likes to run. That will fit Atlanta United. But the thing for me is that Joseph plays off of a high octane offense. That's what makes him so deadly. And so I just don't see how going to a more slower defensive European style play is going to do anything for him. Granted, though, I mean, the second half of the season, he was as good as I've ever seen him. I mean, until he got hurt. Until we assumed that he got hurt and didn't play that well in the playoffs. So, but there for that like month stretch, like he was as unstoppable as anybody in MLS. But I you know how I feel about Frank DeBoer. I just don't like his coaching style with this team. So I think that Pete is going to be the one that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. I like his talent. I like his quality. I really think he could thrive. But honestly, I think it's one or the other. And it's not going to be DeBoer. Not yet. So we'll see. We have until February. The CONCACAF Champions League will be starting that around February 16th. The pairings that came out, not the pairings, but the pools have came out. We could very well be facing an MLS side in the first round, which would be good for us. It's better than starting against like Club America or Monterey. So let's hope we get a good first round draw and try to make some noise in CONCACAF. And the season will be here, thankfully, before you know it. So we'll get that sour taste out of our mouth. We had another chance of hosting MLS Cup right here in our hands. And unfortunately, it just did not work out. Toronto came in here and made the most of their opportunities. But let's chat a little baseball. The winter is underway for baseball. The Braves made several signings so far. You want to elaborate on them, Bob?
I'll let Bret jump in here. He's been kind of quiet there. What you got, Bret?
I love the Will Smith signing. I mean, you desperately need they say he's going to be the closer, and he's been one of the best relief pitchers for the past couple of years. He was a first-time All-Star last year. I mean, he's got a deadly slider. I looked at it. We looked at his bat average to get to the slider is like 178 or something like that. So that thing is moves. It's got a high spin rate. But another underrated sign we had so far is Darren O'Day. He was shut down in a few innings we saw at the end of the year last year. Made a playoff roster for a reason. I mean the bullpen, as much hate as it got last year, it wasn't as bad as advertised. It was for the most part a pretty good bullpen, even though it was just Luke Jackson. He was up and down. It was a roller coaster with him most of the time. But we don't get to much less. We may not even win a division if it wasn't for Luke Jackson because he came in and won us a bunch of ball games. Just thrown into the fire at the closing spot, even though he was shaky. Did his job. But the only thing that fears me about this Will Smith signing is that we did have to give up a draft pick, and the thing is, if we let Josh Johnson walk, someone signs him, we get that draft pick back. So I don't know what AA is thinking in there. I don't know what his thought process is now after that signing regarding Josh Johnson. So, but the thing, if we let Josh Johnson walk, that means we have another plan. We have a plan B or heck, even a plan A, Anthopoulos, whatever it is, to go make a trade for that next third baseman, or maybe they think Austin Ron's the third baseman, we'll trade for an outfielder. Who knows? But I have a bunch of trust in him. He's made a bunch of good decisions so far, but I think I'll let soon a top end starter. Bumgarner, I don't care who it is, but even I'm still iffy on Bumgarner as well. I want him for his postseason resume for the most part, but we'll see. I like the two shots we have so far. I think they're going to go a long ways for us next year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really, really like the Will Smith signing. 3 years. Again, it did cost us the draft pick, but now you got to imagine we now have a Will Smith, Shane Green, Mark Melanson, Melanson bullpen 7, 8, 9. So for once going into the regular season, we know who our 7th, 8th, 9th is. It's been a few years since I would say since Eric O'Flaherty, Johnny Venters, and Craig Kimbrell that we've gone in knowing who our 7, 8, 9 guys are, and then you throw Darren O'Day into that mix for when a guy needs a day off. That's a nice little four-man bullpen there. And then, it doesn't allow you to have to use Luke Jackson in those pressure situations where he can come in more in the 6th or 7th inning if needed. So I really like his role in that. But, when you mentioned, them signing Will Smith kind of leads me to believe that they don't think that they are going to be able to resign Josh Donaldson anymore. The numbers I've seen coming out for him, especially from Texas, is one of his biggest suitors. I've been hearing like could be over 5 years, and I don't want to go 5 years on him. I know one big name that I've heard in the rumor mill this week was Francisco Lindor. But the thing about Francisco Lindor is that leads you to have to get rid of the fan favorite in Dansby Swanson, who I'm okay with getting rid of. I'm not the biggest Dansby Swanson fan, so I would say Francisco Lindor is an upgrade over him, especially offensively. But yeah, this has been it's really nice this year to hear the Braves involved in so many rumors. I mean, I've heard it within the Mookie Betts. We've heard him within the Chris Bryant. But this Chris Bryant situation is going to be interesting to watch because I think if Chris Bryant loses this arbitration hearing, he's going in for a hearing saying that the Cubs manipulated his service time by not calling him up and getting the extra year. So we're going to have to, watch that because I think if he loses it and he gets a year of team control, the Cubs move him having that extra year of team control. If he wins it, he becomes a free agent next year, makes it hard for the Cubs to get maximum value for him. So that'll be something to watch out because I know that the Braves are interested in him. So the deal that I've heard that would make a lot of sense is them giving us their catcher and Chris Bryant for a truckload of our prospects, and it would be Austin Riley. Are led with Austin Riley. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, let's jump into some buy or sell. So James Harden absolutely destroying things so far this year, but some people aren't happy with it. I don't know. I guess they don't like fun. Buy or sell, is James Harden's brilliance on offense good for the game, Derek?
I mean, it works in the regular season. So, I mean, I guess if that's what he's going to do, that's what he's going to do. And I mean, it works. They win games in the regular season. Now, can it carry over to the playoffs and really tire out? I think it will help to have Russell to get the ball to and do some of the similar things. I mean, this year. So I guess I'd buy it. I mean, it's fine. It's working. It's doing what they need to do to win in the regular season.
Oh, you said me. Yeah, Derek said it works in the regular season. But I'm not gonna say it's bad for the game because, I mean, that's what they got to do to win games. I mean, that's what they got to do, and that's what he's paid to do. He's paid to be the best player on that team and take how many shots it takes for them to win the ball game. So, but I don't sell that it is bad for the game, but I mean, it depends on what perspective you're looking for. I mean, if you're a Rockets fan, do you think it's good for y'all? I mean, I really don't think they can. I don't think that team is built to win. It's just a weirdly constructed team. I think they're about to the point where I don't want to say they can't win because the NBA is so wide open this year, but that's a weirdly constructed team because you get two ball dominant guys that feed off this driving, kicking, but it's weirdly constructed. But I'll sell that it's bad for the game.
Yeah, I'm selling it that it's bad for the game. Everybody loves offense. I mean, I like offense. I think the only person that really would complain about that would be Russell Westbrook. So because he's the only other one that wants to shoot as much as James Harden. So I'm still to the life of me trying to figure out why those two would want to get back together and try again. So
it's working right now.
Yeah,
Russell's not shooting as much,
because it's not costing. It's not. They're not. No one's really cost the game, or they really haven't had that close. Who needs the game? Who needs to hit the game winner?
And I think it would be different if it was two people that weren't really friends. They were just kind of NBA friends. But James Harden and Russell are like actual outside of NBA friends, and they have been since they were together in OKC. and Seattle.
But
It's hard.
it didn't work in OKC. So,
But it wasn't because of no drop off. Like they still continue to talk daily and hang out outside of the NBA when he was.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely friends. I think it's just again two very similar games. I mean they want to play the same exact game. They want to have the ball in their hands. And there's nothing bad about that. It's just to be interesting to see when it comes down to crunch time. But yeah, as far as it being bad for the game, no way.
Yeah, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I heard the question wrong. I'm definitely selling that it's bad. I said bye, but I'm selling that it's bad for the game.
Yeah, I obviously have to agree. I mean, he's a freak of nature. Probably the best scorer we've ever seen. So I definitely got to say he's good for the game. Sometimes we talk about worst to first, but let's talk about a first to worst. The Golden State Warriors have been absolutely putrid this year. Of course, now Steph Curry's probably out for the year. Klay Thompson's out for the year. Even
D'Lo got hurt too,
and D'Lo have been hurt as well. So, a lot of people are saying, "Watch, they're gonna get the number one pick." Do you think the NBA will? Now, let's just say for simplification, the NBA can force their hand in the draft lottery. I think they do. Do you think the NBA, buy or sell, will the Warriors get the number one pick? Sorry, Bret.
I'm gonna buy that because I've had that same eerie feeling that my dad referred to a bunch about the David Robinson getting hurt and the Spurs getting that number one pick and getting Tim Duncan, and then they went on they're running the league again for another decade and a half. It seemed like so they get the number one pick. It's gonna be the same exact thing. Steph's gonna be healthy. They're gonna have Russell back. You imagine Russell will be back. Thompson's gonna be back. So have Draymond. Get the number one pick. I mean, it's gonna be like they never left. I mean, I'm gonna buy that I'm gonna buy that they will get the number one pick. I guess is what the question's saying. So yeah, I'll buy it, and just because let's get that same feeling about the Spurs.
Yeah, I definitely pretty much echo what Brett said.
Yeah, I'm buying it. I mean, it's I always love a good NBA conspiracy story. So and I think I truly think that the draft works to where they'll lead whoever they want that number one pick to go to. I think it's literally between Brooklyn or Golden State for who will get the number one pick this year, because they would love to find a young guy to pair with Durant and what's his name in Brooklyn? So Kyrie. So they'd love to pair a young guy with them. So, but yeah, I think Golden State will walk with the number one pick this year.
Yeah. Buy or sell, Tua is able to recover and play at a high level when he does make it to the NBA, to the NFL. Don't think he's going to the NBA.
He may have a better chance now.
Unfortunately, I am going to have to sell. I hope he's able to get back, but seeing an injury-prone player that he has went through a lot of injuries throughout his whole college career. I mean, and this is something that is going to be very hard to get back, especially at the football level, as you're taking contact every week that you go out there. So I hope he's able to come back, but I just don't see it happening. I don't think he'll ever play another collegiate game, though.
I sell, but it's fine. Okay, Brett, you answer.
I'm gonna buy it because I feel like that. I know it's a terrible injury, but he's still young. He's gonna have time to go through rehab. Always gonna rehab the thing. What I imagine is gonna happen. He's gonna buy it. I'm buying it, but I imagine he's gonna go so into the draft. I feel like I can see him going in a situation like the Dolphins. Him sit out for a year so they can test out Rosen next year, see what his issue is, or see if he's a guy they can trust in. If Tua sit out the year, then he'll be just fine. Or not just fine, he'll be back to a form of himself. But again, he's been playing. He's been playing hurt for since last year, it seems like, and he 75% of. If you get Tua back to 75, 80%, that still might be a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. I think it's better than at least some of the quarterbacks in the league right now, like Josh Rosen or Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, I got to buy it. I don't know how long it will take, but I do think it will be able to make a full recovery.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a sell. I mean, it's like this is just too devastating of an injury. I sell, but I disagree with Derek because I think that his best bet, if he can recover, is to play, or if it requires any kind of sit out for next year, to just go ahead and come back your senior year, and then if you can get into it late into the season, because I think that it is going to cost him draft stock this year, whether or not it's again we're not talking about an ACL where we know it's going to be a year. We really don't know what the recovery period is in something like this. It could be multiple years. So, so that's why I have to sell on that.
Quick Hawks update. They closed the quarter on a 15-2 run to get within 12. 24-36 at the end of the first quarter.
They said
it's sad when you go on a 15-2 run in a quarter and in the first quarter and you're still down by 12.
I just saw that we have 7 of 22 shots have been blocked in the first quarter.
It's been bad.
And we also have 7 turnovers. We're shooting 41%. So not too good so far in LA, but 12-point game after it was 25. I guess it's okay. But can the Hawks recover and make the playoffs by or sell? I'm a sell. I didn't think this was a playoff team coming into the season. I still don't think this is a playoff team. They have the ability, but I just think they need one more year. What about you, Drake?
I'm going to go ahead and sell that, I guess, but we're going to still make it, so I'm going to buy it. We're making the playoffs. Watch. Be positive, like everybody wants to be. When John Collins comes back and Herter comes back, we're going to win 40 games in a row and make a playoff. So, talk soon.
Okay.
I know I was one of people saying we make the playoffs at the start of the year, but I'm selling it. We look awful without Herter and Collins. It's bad. But we'll see. Maybe we'll get hot or something and go on a little 4 or 5 game win streak or something. Trae Young averages 45 a game, or so we'll see.
45. Shit, I hope.
This obviously is the hardest part of the schedule.
We're gonna look we're definitely gonna look way better. I mean, we're gonna win at least 32 games. I say is the least amount we win, and I mean you win a little bit more than that in the East, especially how it's looking now. You might be able to fight back and forth at the end of the season and maybe get an A spot. I don't know.
They ain't making the playoffs. It don't matter. That's I don't have to buy, sell, trade, or anything like that. They aren't making the playoffs. Another year or two. I said it this year. It would take a miracle for them to be there. They're not. It hasn't. They haven't shown me nothing in the first 2 or 3 weeks that this is anything close to a playoff caliber team. But I'm a patient person. I believe in a rebuild, and so I'm sticking right on board. It's not like I'm ready to jump ship.
Yeah, no. We'll be better in a year or two. Most likely too.
I think next year we should. Well, it depends on there are no free agents, but we gotta pay somebody this summer. So I don't know.
Next year, I think next year we'll definitely be in the race. Like guaranteed, be in the race for one of the last seeds in the playoffs. But in 2 years, we should definitely be right there in the mix.
But that concludes our show. Let's get out of here with some shout outs. Who you shouting out today, Bret?
I want to shout out the Georgia Tech women's basketball team today for marching to Athens and just drumming Georgia like 73-40 or something, whatever it was. I'm gonna give them; they deserve some credit. New coach and everything. They look. Give them a shout out.
I'm gonna shout out Bret for being able to wear that Georgia Tech hat after what just happened Saturday.
It's camouflage. You can't see it. Yeah, I just want to shout out everybody watching, listening. The normal Dougie in there and chat, hanging it out. My poppy came in for a little bit, but want to shout out Danny Daniels for being patient, waiting for Bret. He'll be there soon, baby.
Yeah, I definitely want to shout out everybody watching, everybody that still supports us a year into this. We appreciate you, and we're gonna keep on going strong. Thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you sometime in the next 7 to 10 days. Y'all have a good night.